you all, here's my office. Whoa. It's crazy, isn't it? This is what happens when you clean out another room for a newborn to sleep in. And you hastily throw things in the office. Let me see if I can get around and show you the closet. Quite a bit of stuff in there too. So this is going to be a video where I organize this crazy mess. It's going to make my living room look awful for a minute, but we'll get it done. Alright, so far I have removed the towels for the spare bathroom and the clothes basket that had all the papers in it that I have to refile. So that's so far, and a couple of things that were my husband's that were in here. So let's keep going. And now we have an update. I've got a lot of the stuff on the floor. The only stuff is some of the stuff that I'll go back in this room in my miniature perfume collection, which I have to build a shelf for. I've even put some of this stuff where it goes. Still have a lot more to go though. Look at, oh my goodness. That's what happens when you clean out a different room. Alright, so there's an update. Still have all this stuff on my... Okay, so we've gotten even more stuff out. Pulled some more things out of here. I've just talked to my husband and we're going to do some track shelving in here. So all this will have to come out, but it'll give me a good chance to go through it. Got lots of magazines and books and stamps and all kinds of things. And then this is getting a little bit more cleaned off. And so it's not too much more to go. It's very helpful to have boxes now from so many baby items, but yeah. So that's going to be my big finish for the day, is cleaning out this particular closet. See you in a bit. Okay, so here's an update. I took out the shelf in the closet. Alright, it left quite big holes. One of the things I noticed when I got in here was that the inside was not painted by the painters who painted this house before we bought it. So the inside wall is still white, but the walls that they painted were gray, and may I say they didn't do that great of a job. Sorry, it looks a little grainy right now. The lighting's bad up in that corner. So I puttied the big holes left by the hardware. I'm reusing that shelf in the laundry space, and I had to buy new hardware for it. So when I put it back up, I'll show you what that looks like. But right now I'm going to go over the putty with a wet sponge. And I'm just going to lightly, I don't want to gouge it, because even though there's wallpaper going up on this wall, I want it to be smooth for the wallpaper. Sorry, I'm gonna zoom a little bit right there. So I'm just gonna do that to each one. And then I'm gonna go over with the sanding block and make sure it's really smooth. And then we'll come back and I'll show you what I'm gonna do about this paint job. Okay, so I have gone over it with a wet sponge, damp, not too wet. Sanded again, went over it with the wet sponge again to make sure it's smooth. Now on this wall right here, I'm doing wallpaper. So we're leaving that alone, but I got a beautiful purple to go on this wall and then this wall. See how bad of a job that they did? I mean, you can, sorry, it's not focusing. There we go. You can see where they came into the wall that they didn't even paint. So it looks horrible. So I also went up to the top and got all of the cobwebs off, and they got paint up on the ceiling. So I'm gonna have a cup of white paint with me so I can touch up the ceiling as I go. And this isn't plaster, this is just textured paint up there, so it won't come down when I paint on it. So don't worry about that. But one of the things I will tell you though, I tend to paint at home barefoot. I grip the ladder pretty well with my bare feet, so most of the things I do at home bare feet, in bare feet. So that I won't even have to paint over. I'll just wallpaper over that when it gets here. But these other walls will have to be painted. And I'm going to show you painting technique. I started a painting business, realized I couldn't do it by myself. So I do have some tips and tricks to give you in just a moment. Okay, there we go. So I'm up here at the top of the ceiling. You can tell where they've painted onto the ceiling. And I'm going to first cut in my purple. And then I'm going to go back over and put a very thin strip of white right over where they went over onto the ceiling. So this wall right here and this one right here will be painted purple, and then the wall opposite of this one. And I'm going to show you how I cut in without using tape. Just a moment. Okay, so I thought I had a regular paintbrush at home for regular paints, but I only had a stain one. We're going to make that work. So first what you want to do is you want to push real hard. And I'm sorry about the grainy texture, it's kind of dark up here. But you want to push down to flatten out the bristles and go up against and then pull down. So go up, flatten down, up against, pull down. Now I don't have very much paint on my brush right now, but that's the gist of it. Do it again, flatten out, push up against, pull down. And that's going to put a very nice thin line, because basically what you're doing is you're flattening out the brush for a nice thin line. Okay, so the only gray that you can see is the gray that's on the ceiling. Well, it will be after I get more put on. So this is a light color comparatively. So I know it's hard to tell, but that's basically how you do it. So this is where I'm cutting in at. I'm going to show you. Y'all can see better right here. It's a little bit lighter. So flatten the brush and put it right up against what you're painting next to. See if I can get a better angle on that. There we go. And then you just want to drag it down. Seems to be a little bump there. I'll figure that out. Anyways, that way you don't have to use tape. So just get enough on your brush, push it down, and slide it along. Just like that. And you'll have a nice clean line. Looks like there's some bumps I might need to iron out. But that would be in the sheetrock. Okay. Hello everybody, thank you for joining me today. I'm going to be working on my closet in my office, finishing it up, and we're going to be installing the support bar for the track system, and then I'm going to be putting wallpaper on this back wall right here. The sides have already been painted purple, and everything's cleared out, so I only have a few more steps before I can start organizing my stuff back in here to a really nice closet. My first steps with doing the support bar is I made sure that every screw will go into a stud by measuring, you know, how far it was across, cutting this to length, but making sure that the first stud was going to hit at the first hole, and then the rest of them will line up. So I'm going to use 4 interior wood screws into this today, and hopefully they'll all be in studs, so I won't have to do any anchors. And then that way it'll be super duper supportive, and if I have to, I'll also be able to shoot some screws in through the actual tracks themselves for a little bit more support if I never want to move them again. So I'm going to get started on that, and then I'll come back and show you. So I have installed the support bracket at the top. It went in pretty well. I made sure that I had a level with me to make sure it was level, because not all homes, or actually no home, is built perfectly to square. So I had a level with me and put it at the very top. And I'm going to start on the wallpaper. The wallpaper is this really cool brick look. I think it's pretty awesome. And I read the instructions. And even though I've never done wallpaper, you know, full on, I've only done like trim wallpaper that you just dipped in water and put on the wall. So this is going to be fun. I have my stuff on the floor, some adhesive, and my smoothing tool. And I also have a roller right here to roll it on with. Now, the instructions say to hang from the roll, so I was going to pre-cut them, but since that's what it says, that's what I'll do. What I'll do first, or what I have done already, is to draw 2 plumb lines, which these have been, I used a yardstick and a level to make sure that I drew the lines so that each piece would be perfectly straight up and down. So I'm not going to start on this end, I'm going to start at the second section, because I know that that corner is probably not going to be perfectly straight. So I scooted a little bit that way, a little bit smaller than the strip is. That way I can just cut off excess, but I won't have any gaps of missing wallpaper. So I'm going to start with this section right here. This is what I'll put the adhesive on, and then I'll take this and hold it up to the top, and then start, you know, pushing downward with my smoothing tool to get all the air bubbles out. So I will let you know how it goes after I get the first one done. Okay, so I've got one strip up. It was harder than I thought it was going to be. This is how much I had to cut off of the next strip just to get the pattern to line up, because that's how long the pattern is. I didn't realize that, so hopefully I have enough to finish. If not, I'll have to order a new roll, and that'll take a couple days to get here. So I'm not very happy about that, but square foot wise, it was enough to cover, but because of how much is going to be wasted, it may not actually cover everything. So I'm going to go ahead and work on the second piece, and then I'll do that side and then the very end over here, because I'm going to have to cut that all the way down. That's going to be fun. But it went up fairly simple. The only thing is trying to get it done fast enough before the glue dries. And when you get down here to the bottom, I have a utility knife to cut with, and it's got a new blade, and it was still difficult to cut this paper without screwing it up. So I had to kind of, you know, go over it a few times, and that was fun. So a little bit more difficult, but I guess it's probably better than what Lucy and Ethel did, right? So I'm going to finish with this piece. It should come up to about right here, and then I'll have a good 8-inch, 9-inch piece to put up, and then this side over here I'll do before that. So I guess we'll see how it looks when I'm done. Okay, so far I've gotten 3 strips done, and I'm off to this one piece. I'm going to try, there's like this much at the end. Hopefully one of these pieces can cover the rest of it, because I really don't want to have to buy a whole new reel just for this much. I mean, it was about $22 I think for this, but I'd rather just get it done today and not even have to, you know, reopen the adhesive or anything like that. So there's about 12¼ inches left. So what I'm going to do is I've marked on here where it is, and I'm going to score the whole roll. Otherwise my line could very well go like that. So hopefully that will work. I'm going to score it, and it should fit perfectly. Like I said, there will be about this much left, and from some of my extra, I'm hoping I will be able to use one of those pieces, or piece a couple of them together. It'll be down in the bottom corner, so not a whole lot of problem if there's something a little wrong with it, but hopefully it looks good so far. and I will show you the finished project up close. Okay, so here's the end result, and for my sake I'm not going to get too close, but it's a brick look wallpaper, so it looks kind of cool and looks kind of, you know, 3D. And then I was able to use some scrap for the bottom down there, and you can see one little flaw, but nobody will ever see that. Something will be in front of it, I'm sure. And this is what the bottom looks like. And that is all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And just to let you know, this last piece was the hardest, trying to cut the whole strip the same length. So that was difficult. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.